Welcome to the Aligned Powerhouse, the podcast for executive women who are done leading from burnout and ready to rise from alignment. I'm your host, Dr. Brittany McGeehan, licensed psychologist, high performance and mindset coach, and guide for high-achieving women who are ready to lead, live, and love without abandoning themselves. Here, we unpack the nervous system truths, mindset shifts, and emotional patterns that drive your leadership so you can build power from the inside out. Let's get into it. Alrighty, y'all. Hello. Welcome to today's episode. Guys, I'm so excited to share with you today's guest. Today I am talking with Christi Van Rite. Did I pronounce your name right? I didn't even ask that.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, well done.
Who I met in a mastermind, and I'm so excited. She is here to talk all things ultra high net wealth and managing a lot of complexity, which is what I just decided is basically what you do. I don't even know if that's would be a fair assumption, but
it's fair. Yeah.
Okay. So let me tell you a little bit about Christi, and then we're going to jump in. So Christi is the founder and CEO of White River Consultants, an integrative family office services firm focused on the operational and financial management of complex family enterprises. With over 22 years of experience working with ultra high net worth families, Christi specializes in building the infrastructure required to support multi-entity structures, private investments, and real assets. Her work centers on establishing and maintaining the financial and operational foundation of the family office, ensuring that information is accurate, organized, and actionable. Christi leads the process of designing and implementing a customized family operating system, providing the structure, processes, and visibility families need to manage complexity and long-term continuity. Christi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Whoever wrote that, I don't think actually intended for it to be read. Because that's a big mouthful.
It is so great.
Sorry about that.
In my head, I was nodding my head because I was yes, check. Yep, check. This is 100. Okay, so give us the condensed version. Christi, what is it? I'm so excited that you're here. Tell us what is it that you and your office do?
What would you say you do here? First of all, thank you very much for the invitation to come on the podcast. I love talking about family office and building strong foundations for families, and so thank you. Yes, what would you say you do here? Family offices are unique. Every single one of them is unique, and it's not just they're unique because every family is unique. Every family has different needs. There's always what we call the foundation, the baseline, the bookkeeping, the bill pay, the household payroll, the things that literally reoccur every single month. Those are sort of those foundational items that every family in the ultra high net worth space really does need. What's above that is that integration piece, which is really where the value that White River provides. And that is sitting down next to a family at a big round proverbial table with all of the advisors that are in their life. Investments, tax, legal, philanthropic, insurance, general contractor, you name it. If they are a provider or a practitioner that's working with the family, the role of the integrator is to help everybody work together. It's to make sure that context and information flows around that table so nobody's working in a silo, and to draw people out of their silos. It's so easy for, quite frankly, any practitioner, but it's sort of easy to pick on legal and tax because they're very heads down, they're very focused, and yes, they will ask questions when they're asked to do something, but pretty often they don't get a full context. And so what ends up happening is without that, the family gets a structurally correct answer. You asked me to set up a trust. I set up a trust. You asked us to do your taxes. We did your taxes. Come to find out, without context, it was actually a functionally incorrect answer. because they didn't know the purpose behind it. So the purpose of an integrator and that value that we provide is to keep context and information flowing and really help help everyone understand the why behind what they're doing, and then project manage through it. What do you need to push this project forward? How can I help you? How can my staff, how can my team help you get this done? At the end of the day, when everybody's rowing in the same direction and all the ducks are barking up the same tree, and we don't have like one that's parading as a pigeon with its, nose in the corner of the fence, the families get such better outcomes. They get faster outcomes, they get better, more reliable outcomes. And so that's really what we do. We support the foundation, but we build that integration piece to keep the operations running.
Wow. Okay. I know that we went through, here's my game plan, here are all the questions that I have, and now I have like 50 different ones. So I'm like, buckle up.
Let's go. I'm here for it.
Okay, so first and foremost, how did you get into this world? I'm very curious about a little bit of like your story, and like this seems like a very intentional world to get into. I could be wrong, but like, how did you get into this industry?
I would like to think it's intentional. It wasn't intentional for me. So there you go. Let me just put that out there. My background is in investments. I grew up, as they say, at Mother Merrill. If that helps age me a little, it's okay. That is my background. That's what I learned. That's what I spent a lot of years doing, was in investments. What happened and how I got to where I am today, there was a family that we worked with, and she called one day and said, Christi, the bank just pulled my loan and I can't make payroll and I don't know what to do. Now, look, why I'm the one that got that call, I'm not exactly sure. There's a half a chance I was the last one she talked to, and I was on her, top of her dial. But that started this conversation of, first of all, let's make some introductions. And we were able to do that. I take zero credit for her and her CFO getting out of that position, but it started the, hey, can you? Hey, how do I? Hey, can you take care of? Series of questions. And my personal mentality is, how hard can it be? I can figure that out. It's gotten me in trouble a few times, but also, more than not, it's really led to a lot of amazing places. And so that's just sort of who I am at my core. How hard can it be? I can figure this out. So we started working together it was very quickly after that, she started taking money off the table and growing and wanting to do more things, as one does. Yep. And I got to go and walk alongside her that entire way, which was such a gift for me, because I got to do things in this other sort of side role that I wouldn't have otherwise gotten to do. And the further we got in, it was several years into this sort of relationship. Hey, can you take care of this? Yeah, absolutely. We got to a point that I knew that I could not continue doing that kind of work inside of the compliance box, because I was still at a brokerage firm at that point in time. That you just can't do. Not well, and or not that your compliance officer doesn't want to string you up. So we started looking around for other firms who could do what I was doing for her. Never occurred to me at the time that I wouldn't have an investment practice, that we would, that I wouldn't be there. We went looking around, and the firms that we talked to, and we talked to multiple, were a little bit old school. They wrote checks. They wanted paper. We walked into one group's office, and I kid you not, we walked in and I said, okay, there's a door right there and there's a door behind us. If this place goes up, I need you to make a break for one of them, because it was just filing cabinets of paper upon paper upon paper. Wow. And I mean, oh my goodness. So, and that just didn't fit her. And she looked at me one day and said, Christi, can't you just keep doing this? Can't you just keep being the glue and keep working for me? And a few weeks later, she asked several times. It was very, very kind. And eventually, a month or so later, I was like, you know what? I can do this. I do want to do this. I love this work. somewhere along the way, someone said, "What are you doing for this family?" It was probably my compliance officer, actually. "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I do a little of this, I do a little of that." And this person I was talking to said, "Oh, you do family office work?" And I said, "Maybe. Let me go back and Google that." Sure enough, the work has a name. Who knew? And that was literally the kickoff. I transitioned to my investment practice and started White River, and haven't looked back. We sort of started as what I would call a single family office. We are now, I guess, what you would kind of consider a multifamily office, meaning that we have a handful of families we work with. We don't just work with one single family. So that's how I got here. It was, I call it just a serendipitous, wonderfully serendipitous timing.
Yeah, that's incredible. And the lines that I fill in my mind are that you had a lot of trust in this relationship. And
Yes.
what I would imagine to be true about you is that you are excellent with systems and executing.
Very much so.
Is that, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How
That
did you
compliance
know?
background plays heavily into my thought processes, my system orientation,
Huh?
all of that. Yeah. So this is right up my alley. I mean, like, I couldn't have designed a more perfect role for me and my personality than being engaged, being helpful, being useful. I'm just one of those people. I want to serve, and this lets me serve in so many ways that when I was younger, didn't know was available.
I mean, it is such a gift, right? Whenever I think about, and this
Yes.
makes me think about something we talked about before we hit record, which is that I will work with a lot of women, a lot of people who have this mentality that wealth buys freedom, right? When in actuality, every single time, and for me on my end and in my role, it doesn't matter how many times I tell them, no, that's not correct. No, that's not correct. No, that's not correct. It never fails that we hit some kind of milestone, and all of a sudden they're like, "Whoa." I would love your take on this, because that, I mean, is quite literally what you do.
Quite literally. Yes, there is a what I'm going to call a myth that has spread far and wide and has been pervasive, and that is, once you hit a certain milestone, or once you have a certain dollar amount, or a certain wealth level, that freedom just sort of magically rains down on you and your life gets so much better. Um, let me dispel that myth real quick for everybody. It can. Money can do, and wealth, not just dollars in the bank, but wealth can do a lot for a person and for a family when it is intentionally stewarded. So when it is not, what ultimately ends up happening almost every time is that the things that were, when you were building your business and you didn't have a lot of money and you were kind of like, bootstrapping or being very cautious, and you're growing and that's your focus, there's a lot of things that sort of got glossed over. A lot of little cracks here and there. Maybe your accounting system, like your personal bill pay and accounting, if that even exists, were kind of, hit or miss, or that you've kind of hit or miss had conversations with your kids about the growing wealth or growing business, or your ideas and where you're going, your goals. And maybe your kids are, or you and your spouse, or you and your parents, or your friend, you name it, anyone else in your life, you gloss over a lot of things because you're busy working on other things. You're trying to hit a goal, whatever that is, and then suddenly you get there, and what at one point could be glossed over, now these small cracks become really big fusions, like really big gaps. And so everything is amplified. If it was a little issue and you were like, oh, that's frustrating, but it's fine, I'm moving on. Now with wealth, that little tiny grain of sand that was just frustrating is now ultimately a really big deal. The fact that, you paid bills twice a month or once a month and it was fine. Well, the quantity and the dollars that you had before are very different from the quantity and dollars that you likely have once you've gained wealth. That kind of needs a system. Your bookkeeping, a lot of the families that we work with in the ultra high net worth space, every ultra high net worth family, think about it from the perspective of you probably have more in assets and likely in income than most small countries around the world. Certainly more than most small businesses around the world. If you have, if your small business runs 100 million in revenue, well, a lot of families that we're working with have more than that. Would you have built that business without a COO, a chief of staff, a chief financial officer, without a team around you to support you in that growth? Ultimately, every entrepreneur is going to say, absolutely not. Those people were key. I counted on them. I couldn't have gotten where I was without that support. And so, wealth does not in and of itself bring happiness, bring contentment, bring freedom, freedom of time. Does it bring freedom of money? So can. But I will tell you that now you have a lot of cocktail advisors who are trying to help you part with that money. And sometimes you have family who you haven't seen in a while, who now knows you have the ability to help them. Lots of people start coming out of the woodwork. And so even though you have wealth and you can go and do and enjoy what you've earned, there's also a lot of demands on that. And so without an intentional system on how to keep that moving, keep those operations moving and deal with the in-laws, the outlaws, the cocktail advisors, as we call them, it gets really stressful. And I don't think families spend years and years and years and years building businesses. And how do we exit? And how do we grow this? And how do we make it the best that it can be, right? Like that's every entrepreneur's dream. How do I make this the best it can be? But they don't spend any time thinking about how do I make sure that the business of the family, because again, you're bigger than most entrepreneurs, small businesses, most small countries. How do you keep the business of the family also running? There's not a whole lot of time put there, or thought about how it's going to scale and grow. And then you get into the, oh my gosh, I made all this money and now I spend more time just trying to deal with it and dealing with my advisors and trying, what am I going to invest in? And oh, by the way, I'm still raising kids, or we want to travel and I'm planning vacations, and we're buying a ranch and we're selling the boat or the plane. It's a lot. That was
No, it was fantastic. Right?
It was a long answer.
No, I think it was absolutely fantastic. And it makes me want to zoom in a little bit, because the picture, well, and even before I get there, right, a lot of clients that I work with do not have any idea that this exists, right?
Yes.
It is very similar to when I talk about house management, although the worlds that you're sort of playing in are very different. But to your point, I was like, you need a staff supporting you. And
absolutely.
You need the operations director up here, so you're not having to then manage everyone.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't even realize that is an option. They don't realize it's a thing. And it makes me want to zoom in on, so what is it like to be working with a family office? Are they then only interacting with you? Are they trusting that you are the one who is driving everything? Which then brings another question that I'm going to write down. I'm going to let you answer that one first.
So that's a very good question. The way we work, I built White River to be an outsourced resource. So we can act as the family office for a family, which we do for a number of families. We can also, what I call, bolt on to other family offices, which we do. We just handle certain things inside that family office because they don't have the bandwidth or the they don't necessarily want to learn the new systems that the younger generation is looking for. So we're pretty nimble and flexible in that respect. But when we're working with house managers, it's a perfect example. If you've got more than a couple of homes, you probably have somebody who's at those homes, who's at least checking in, making sure that the basement hasn't flooded or whatever it may be. Those are house managers. So the way that we've work with our house managers and then with our families, we're never going to be the gatekeeper between any practitioner or staff member and the family. If that's a direct conversation that needs to be had, you're there. Like we are not the gatekeeper. What we are here to do, though, is help you get there faster. So with our house managers specifically, we will come in and we will set up a system. It's some software, and which one we use depends on what is really needed. But we'll set up software that goes across all of your properties, that all of your house managers can log into and see. And, I need to rechange the filter this month on this air conditioning unit. Or, oh gosh, this unit's gone out. We need to get the contractor out here. And so we'll set that up. And once we gain the trust of the house manager, typically they don't usually end up going to the family after a little while. They come to us because they know that we're the ones who can authorize the payments for the contractors. If we need the AC guy, tell me we need the AC guy. Tell me what's happening. Like, how can I help you get this done? Because for most of our families, we have the authority to approve things to get done up to whatever limit that the family is okay with. And then we report back on it, of course. But that's kind of how we work with all of the practitioners. Once they figure out that we're here to support you, like that is our role in this, they realize that actually they might even get a more thoughtful answer. They might get more context than if they called the family directly, because the family's doing other things, right? They're traveling, if you can get to them. They're in Greece, they're in London, they're doing things, and they're like, I'll call you when I get back in 3 weeks. And they're like, and the advisor's like, okay, but you kind of said you needed this done. Like, you want to wait 3 weeks? Hey, Christi, do you have any information on this? I need this other document. I got you. I put it in your portal. What else do you need? Oh, by the way, here's what else is happening. This is likely why this question is being asked, or this is exactly why this question is being asked. Oh, okay, that changes how I'm going to approach this answer. Great. Perfect. Are we still on track to get that back next week? I know they're gone, but we'd like to, but somebody else is waiting on your piece to get done. Like, it's kind of that project management. So keeping things moving forward. So we are flexible. We are never the gatekeeper, but typically we do end up being the source of information, just because they can get to us easier usually than the family, because the families are busy.
Yeah, you removed the family from being the bottleneck for life continuing to move. You were the buffer. Yeah. That's incredible. That's exactly right.
It's all up to the family. If the family wants to get every call, great. But there is also a point at which we will step in and say, I know we were getting to know each other. I know that we are building trust, and trust takes a long time to build. We have to work on that, and we have to do that every single day. But we've been doing this 6 months, and right now there's a whole bunch of projects that are stuck because people need information from you. Can I just go through this list with you real quick? Shoot it all out of your brain. I'll take notes, and then I will parse it back out. And it usually only takes once of that to happen to say, we so love you. Do you know that you're the holdup? Like, I know that you're frustrated that this isn't done. I get it. We're frustrated that this isn't done. But do you realize that you're the one that hasn't given the information to let the team loose?
Which I would imagine there's instances where that's not well received, but also I would imagine that it is, because something
it's all in the presentation.
Okay.
It's all in the presentation. It depends on who I'm talking to, like what their personality is. If they're a family that's like, no, I hired you to get stuff done, then I'm going to go back and be like, you hired us to get stuff done. We're stuck because we haven't been able to get information from you. Can I get 30 minutes of your time or whatever it is, get everything out of your head, and then I'll go get the team running. Others, you have to be a little more, a little more sensitive, and that's okay too. It's all about knowing who you're sitting across from.
That's fair, right? I mean, I remember talking with my operations director and being like, I'm a very controlling person, and you're the first person I've tried to give control to. How are you going to deal with that? That was part of our interview.
As it should have been. Yes.
Control is hard to release, especially
it is.
As you accumulate, I would even just say success, like wealth completely aside.
Yeah.
So the other half of what I hear as you're talking, and I imagine, is context. I think about legacy, and I'm curious, does the family office, do you dive into that with clients? Because I would also imagine if you are helping to give context of the why and you're receiving a lot of context, then these families, like, you have to understand what your end goal is. What are we doing and why are we doing it? And something that I see, especially as people are coming into that stage of life, right, is that it changes, one, and two, it's not what you think it is. A lot of people go from, I want to leave something to my kids, to like, can't leave it all to my kids or we're going to mess them up.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I'm curious about your thoughts on that and just like your role in that.
So, therapist, counselor is definitely not in my professional lineup. Although I will tell you, apparently I do have a sign on my forehead that says "Tell me everything," which also is really helpful. Again, context. Yep. And I love that people feel comfortable talking to me about things that they wouldn't necessarily talk to. I mean, honestly, I think that's one of the reasons why this works so well is because people do tend to feel comfortable talking to me. That being said, you're right. There's got to be some forward thinking, and you have to know that what you decide today may not be the right thing in 5 years. So this is not something you just, okay, well, we just put our family plan together and put it up on the shelf and we'll just stare at that book and, hope it turns out all right. It's something that is consistently iterative, that needs to be discussed. You have kids, you have grandkids, you have more grandkids. There's separations, there's marriages, there's property changes, there's business changes. There's all kinds of things that happen in your life that would lead you to want to, I wonder if that plan still works. Do I still want my kids to get, like right now, they're going to get $100 million each. Do I want that? Oh no, I want them to get $3 million each. I want them to work for it. Okay, well, the way this is set up, that's probably not going to happen, but maybe we can go somewhere in the middle. Those conversations need to happen, and so we are definitely part of those conversations. However, I will tell you, I 100% believe in outsourcing. I think you get the right person, the right practitioner for the job that you need done when you need that job done. So if the family is in a position where they're a little stuck, they're not sure where they want to go, which, by the way, is pretty often. Like, if you've never done it before and you don't have a roadmap, you need someone to guide you, just like you do with your clients. You're trying to guide them and give them perspective, and show them what's possible. I believe you bring in the right person. So we will absolutely bring in someone. We'll connect with someone who I think is going to mesh well with the family because, again, personalities. And then what are they trying to do? Are they trying to write like a full family constitution, and or are we starting out and we need some coming together. We need some let's get some thoughts down on paper so we can get a foundation built, and then we can start iterating as the years go on. So I like to bring in the right person or the right team to help a family do that.
And I would imagine that continues to build a lot of trust.
I think so. I mean, I am very upfront with our families. There are things that we are fantastic at, and that's what you hire us to do. And part of that is helping you find people who are fantastic at what they do so we can move faster. I think a lot of people it's sometimes hard to connect the dots when I'm telling you, I think we should hire someone to help do this. Or I don't think we should hire someone to help do this. Mm-hmm. And they're looking at me like, yeah, but I don't want to spend that, I don't want to, we can do it internally, or we can work through this. It's a family issue. It's a family matter. Nobody's like us. No one's going to understand. How could someone possibly help our family? I know you are a very unique snowflake, and that is why we love you so much. Also, there are people who are very, very good at this specific thing. Let's hire them. You're going to be happier with the process. The process is probably going to move through much quicker than it would have, certainly if you had tried it on your own, or if we got the lowest cost option because it was a friend of a friend of a friend referral, and, but they kind of do this work. Go get the right person for the job. Have them do the work. Say, thank you so very much. We so appreciate your time. We'll call you back if we need you. Or we'll see you in 4 years when we're going to redo this plan. But spend the time and spend the money. Do it right the first time. You're going to save yourself a lot of heartache and, quite frankly, probably a lot of money in the long run. Because if you don't have the right person for the job, there's a very good chance you're going to end up unwinding a lot of things because they weren't correct to begin with. Again, structurally correct versus functionally correct. Very different things. And you need people who understand that, no matter what the field is. So, yes, we would be there. We are context. We're gonna stand right behind that person and say, here's some things you need to know. Let us know if you have more questions. Not here to influence you. I'm just here to be a support system. What do you need to do your job the best to help support this family? That's our role in those processes.
Okay, that makes sense. And I think there's so much to what you just said that I think can be applied to anyone, regardless of ultra high net worth, and not
Agreed.
right. Like, do it right the first time, and you're going to save yourself time and money.
100%.
I think that's
doesn't
huge.
matter how much money you have.
Yeah.
That's right? Just a good rule of thumb.
The intent and like the long-term vision. I think that's huge.
Yeah. Same.
Okay. So tell me, I was trying to think of like what I wanted to ask you toward the end of the show, right? Of like, because what I really enjoy doing on this show is sharing what I see from the 1% in terms of like a mindset shift or a daily habit. I've been very into like stoicism lately. And I'm so curious, based on what you see with these families, how are they thinking about wealth differently that you think can be applied to anyone who's listening to this show?
Oh, that is an amazing question.
And I'm totally putting you on the spot. Sorry.
You totally are. And that is A-okay. So intentionality. When, and it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I work with a young woman who doesn't have much money. We are intentional about what she does and where she spends and how she budgets. And we don't use the B word in ultra high net worth, but for as something that can come, can really apply to everyone. Be intentional about what you're doing. Know where you're going, and the families who are doing it well, they can tell you what this looks like in 5 years. They can tell you what this looks like in 50 years because they're being intentional now about how to get there or where they want to go. They may not know exactly how to get there yet, and that's okay. I think things tend to move around and, put themselves into place when you know where you're going. So if your goal is to have a second house, if your goal is to buy a house, wherever you are on the continuum of the net worth scale, be intentional about where you're going and where you're trying to, what you're trying to do and who you're trying to be in this world, how you're showing up. It'll change everything. And the families who do that well tend to get to that place. They are the ones where generational wealth transfers in a really lovely and loving way to the next generation. And I think that can apply to everyone.
Yeah, I love that. I'm like, okay, friends, if you did not have your journals out, you need to write that down. Be intentional about who you want to be and how you want to show up.
Yeah.
In this, I think that's huge. That is huge. So, Christi, thank you so much. I'm like, I have
thank
so many
you.
more questions. We could like chat for like the next hour.
We could, and we have before.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, if you're paying for it, we'll come back for like a part 2. I think that what you do is such a gift for families. And you heard me say this, that a lot of the families that I will work with, they have champagne problems. And there is such a judgment that I think can come whenever you have a certain net worth.
And there's just no reason for it.
Yeah, right? Truly.
There's not.
And the support but it can keep a lot of people in isolation.
Absolutely, it can.
It can keep them in the silo that
heart.
you're talking about. Yeah,
it can. But they can go so much further, so much faster. Just know that the people that are doing good work in this family office world, not just me, there are lots of people who do amazing work. There is no judgment. Mm-hmm. Never. There is never judgment. We don't care what you spend your money on. Mm-hmm. We don't care if you decided to do something against counsel. If it was your decision, it was your decision. Own it and keep going. There's no judgment.
Yeah, I love that. I think that is so incredible and leads to something that I am very passionate about, which is going and enjoying the success that you have worked very, very hard to build, which is typically why we start out on that path, because it's not an easy one.
That's right.
It is go and enjoy it.
Yeah. Don't run the business of the family if you have the ability to let somebody else handle it for you. Go enjoy what you've done. You worked hard for it.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself back into a CEO position if that's what you've been trying to get out of, because that's exactly what it is when you're running the business of the family.
Which is not near as sexy as people think it is.
It's really not. No. I mean, I don't know. I kind of like it, but you know.
Well, hopefully, right? And that's what you're the person.
Right, exactly. I'm the unique snowflake in that scenario. I do love it, but yeah, don't put yourself in another business box. Know that there's help. Raise your hand. Just ask for help. And I know that's hard to do, but ultimately, gosh, that time freedom, that freedom of money, it can be there. You just got to be intentional about it. Yeah. Okay. Christi, tell me, as someone is listening along and they're learning a ton and they're cracking up because we're hilarious, like where... We really are. Where would someone go to connect with you? Because I know a lot about the resources that you share. I want to make sure that we're pointing people back to the right place. Where can people connect and learn more? I appreciate that. Yes, we are active on LinkedIn. You can find me at, I think it's Christi, just Christi Van Rite. And then our website is whiteriverconsultants.com. I love it. And I'm going to put a plug in for your podcast. Because you also have a podcast, and it's fantastic. I do. It delves more into this world. Is that an accurate representation of what you're doing over there? Okay. It's all about education. I want to bring things to people's attention that you might not have otherwise known about or understood. We're trying to make this world very approachable, and it hasn't historically been. So all about education. I love it. I love it so much. Christi, thank you so much for your time and sharing all of your knowledge with us. Yes, I love it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me. Alrighty, y'all. That's all we have for today's episode. I will see you on the next one. Alrighty, friend, that is all for today's episode of the Aligned Powerhouse podcast. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. And do me a favor, if this episode resonated, I want you to share it with another powerhouse woman in your life who is ready to lead and love from a place of self-trust.
And don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave a quick rating or review. It really does help more women find this work. New episodes drop every week. Until then, lead with self-trust and let yourself be seen.